All right, everyone. Welcome to the third week of German Riesling Box, Riesling Box 2.0. We're tasting this guy today, 2022. Let me see if I can get a little closer. There you go. 2022 Gunderloch Jean-Baptiste Rheinhessen Kabinett is what we're tasting today. Really historical property. I've been working with this producer for a long time, since I was a buyer at Sonoma back in 2012. And I've seen the kind of a stylistic change that this place has taken. So it's kind of fun to talk about, the evolution of this place. But yeah, super delicious stuff. As you see, this is a recording. As most of you know, I'm recording this now, but by the time you get this, I will be in India, in Delhi. So probably sweating my ass off, probably getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, but also eating delicious food and dealing with some of the most densely populated city in the world. So wish me luck. Probably, I'm sure I'll be having fun. But again, I will be checking my email time to time. If you guys have any questions and things like that, just shoot me an email. I will also have an access to my text and all of that, so you guys will have an access to me. But it was gonna be at like 6:30 in the morning, and I'm sorry. I know I've done this recording when I was in Europe at like 2 a.m. I'm much more likely to do a live recording at 2 a.m. as I am to do it at 7 a.m. So I've decided, and also honestly, I didn't know what my internet connectivity was going to look like. I am traveling into pretty rural parts of India as well. So yeah, so here's the recording. Anyways, just a few announcements. Wine Prom tickets are on sale now. You guys should have gotten that last week. I actually sent it out today when I'm recording it right now, which is a Friday. So Wine Prom tickets are on sale. The first price increase is on a tier structure. First price increase takes place on next Monday, March 25th. So this Sunday is the last time you're going to be able to get it at the initial price of $165. So if you're planning on coming, I highly recommend that you get that ticket now, this week, before it goes up to $185 next week. So it jumps $20, and then it's gonna, after a week, it's gonna jump up to $205, and it's gonna stay at $205 till the day of the event. So you guys should have all gotten the details and all of that. Pretty excited about all of that. But if you have any questions, obviously shoot me an email and let me know. There's no chat box because this is recording, but as most of you guys know, we are donating to Leila's Legacy this month. So 1% of course revenue we donate to an organization each month, and this month I've identified Leila's Legacy as an organization that I'm donating to. So if you want to donate alongside 6 Foot Wine Club, you know where to find that link. It's all in the email that goes out every week. Right. Usually at this point I'll ask you if you have any questions, but you guys are not here. It's kind of weird doing this without the live audience. You know, just to kind of make a joke of the whole thing. So I had to, since last Wednesday till now, I've had to do 7 recordings, 2 Bosch videos, 2 Wednesday tastings, and then I had a Friday recording. So yeah, 4 Bosch recordings, 2 regular ones, and 1 live tasting is basically what I had to do. So I was making a joke to my girlfriend. I was like, listen, is this what it's like to be in a show business? You know, I had to do 7 recordings in a week, you know. It's the life of a celebrity, you know, it's just hard. But anyways, not a celebrity, just fucking around. But anyways, here we go. You all have the map. I will send it out with this email as well, but it's in Germany. We are in Germany this month, and then this month we are in a region called Rheinhessen. So if you look at southwest portion of Germany, where most of the wine regions are, we were in Mosel, and then following, we flew up Mosel to Rhine, and then we followed Rhine down to Rheingau last week, and then this week we are in Rheinhessen. That kind of a, I don't know what to call that color. It's like a light baby navy blue kind of a color, little purple. Just the southwest of Frankfurt is basically where we are. But as you can see on the map, it's a sizable region, right? I mean, Nahe to the left, Pfalz to the south, Rheingau just to the north. But if you look at the whole size of it, it's quite big. And you're right, because it is the biggest Anbaugebiet, which means the German word for wine producing region in Germany. In all of Germany, in the western bank of Rhine River, not only in terms of the land size, but also in terms of amount of wine that's being produced here. Unfortunately, Rheinhessen, for the longest time, was considered kind of a region of quantity over quality. But today, I actually think Rheinhessen may be the most exciting area. Outside of Baden and Württemberg, which I really find interesting, especially for Pinot Noir. But in terms of overall amount of wine and the kind of wine that's coming out, I think Rheinhessen is a really interesting, exciting place and to keep an eye out on. There are a lot of innovative winemakers and winemaking and a lot of experimentation going on here. Over time, they're the ones who introduced like Sylvaner with a varying degree of residual sugar. They went through some Pinot Noir phase as well. But now, I mean, the Riesling has always been their kind of a workhorse as the main grape still. And they're really turning themselves around from that kind of quantity focused region to really quality focus and doing a lot of experimentation to do things a little differently. And compared to other places, unlike other areas where the vineyards are solely focused on the river banks, right? And Mosel is all just around those little snaking around river, or Mosel River on the river banks. Rheingau, more or less the same, but on the Rhine River. But here in Rheinhessen, as you saw on the map, there's sizable landmass that is off the river. There's about 27,000 hectares of vineyards that are off the river, not right on the river banks, land away from the river. So soil types here kind of vary quite a bit depending on where you are within Rheinhessen. So there's a lot of that slate that we talk about right on the river banks, right? That's what Mosel, Rheingau, all the are known for. But as you move away, you find some clay, you find some gravel, so anything in between, some loam, and so the soil type here varies quite a bit. The climate here also becomes noticeably warmer, especially if you ever go to this region, if you travel from Mosel kind of through Rheingau and Rheinhessen, by the way. That's like my dream trip to and find landing in through Nahe, Pfalz, and then into Baden. That would be like my dream German trip. But if you follow all of that trip, you will notice that it gets noticeably warmer here. Mosel is definitely much cooler and colder. In fact, Rheinhessen is one of Germany's warmest and the driest pockets in terms of a wine region. So that's kind of why it's fun to do this. Why I want to do this month is that, you know, there's that kind of feather-light, crystalline, really cool weather Mosel Riesling versus kind of Riesling that comes from a warmer, drier kind of a region of Rheinhessen. So what does that do to the stylistic difference? What does it do to the style of the Riesling? So that's kind of what we're trying to figure out and learn this month, and it kind of shows. It definitely shows. I felt it. I hope you guys do too when we get to tasting it. Due to this variety in soil, of course, the elevation as well, because of riverbanks, exposition, and more hospitable climate than other regions. There are definitely a lot more varieties grown here too. So Mosel, I mean, we're talking about mostly just all Riesling, even Rheingau too. But here we're talking about all the other German varieties you might have heard of, like Riesling, Müller-Thurgau, Dornfelder, Grauburgunder, Sylvaner, Weissburgunder, Spätburgunder, Portugieser, Chardonnay, Shrewd, all these things grow here. So it is, like I said, it's a region that's really ripe with a different kind of experimentation, working with different varieties, different soil, different parts of the land, just to kind of see what works. And even just the amount of wines that are grown here, the reds are about 1/3 of the total vineyards vines that are planted here. 2/3 are still whites and 1/3 are red. As you go down to Baden, it gets more red, but still there's quite a bit of red planted here, again, because of that warmer weather, as well as the varying soil types. As you can imagine, the wine styles vary quite a bit, again, depending on whether it's the riverbank or further away. But in general, the wines here, because it's warmer, right, and drier, so the wines become a little bit broader. It's not as focused and crystalline and that precise like that Mosel that's known for. It's a little bit broader. The acidity is slightly more rounded. It's not as jagged, but nonetheless, it is still German Riesling. So it's gonna have plenty of acid. It's gonna come at you, but you know, I've said this throughout the month. You know, try to build kind of sensory memory of these Rieslings that you're tasting, or even write it down to see where you are. But yeah, it's the feel, the mouth feel of the acid on this Riesling is noticeably different than the last two wines that we've had. So I will check this. I send this out as well. I found this really cool article that's really funny, cleverly written article from this online wine magazine called Trink, but it was talking about Rheinhessen and what's been going on here. It's kind of like a love letter to Rheinhessen. I thought it was really funny. It was cool, well written. So I'm gonna send this out to you guys as well. So if you're interested, take a look, take a read. It's fun. So who makes this wine? You're gonna get a picture of him, but it's Domain or Weingut Gunderloch. It's so the founder of Gunderloch, Karl Gunderloch, purchased. He was a banker. He wasn't a winemaker, but he bought a Fable Nackenheimer Rothenburg, which is the vineyard that they own, in 1890. And that's kind of where the story begins. And for 6 generations, Gunderloch family have been running, farming and making wine in Rheinhessen. There are also, we talked about VDP, right? This is one of the VDP wines, as you can tell by the eagle with the eagle emblem with grape berries in it. So VDP is that the private association of wine producers who wanted to go beyond just the predicate's ripeness level classification, right? And wanted to rank vineyards as their Grand Cru or Großlage or Erstlage, which is their Premier Cru, and all of that, right? They were one of the founding members, and it is actually one of the only 4 estates to have remained a member during its entire span. So we're talking about very much of an OG, ultra traditionalist of the region. They're kind of definitely the benchmark producer of Rheinhessen. But like I mentioned, I've personally seen it, but they're evolving. There's a lot of changes that have been taking place here at this winery, and all of that is taking place at the hands of their current winemaker and the current generation of the Hasselbach family, which is the same family that's been running this winery. His name is Johannes Hasselbach, and you'll get a picture of him. Very young guy who has been in charge of the estate since 2016. They farm about 25 hectares of some of the most sought after, regarding the best vineyards in Rheinhessen, and the majority of holdings, their holdings being Grand Cru or Großlage sites. In fact, there are 3 vineyards where this fruit for this wine comes from. They're all Grand Cru sites. So we're essentially getting Grand Cru fruit here, or a Großlage fruit, but they're just in a lower kind of terrace vineyard, instead of higher up, and higher up is more sought after because there's more sunlight up there, higher elevation, right? But nonetheless, we are getting fruit. This is a fruit from 3 of their best vineyards, not only in their own holding, but arguably 3 of the best vineyards in all of Rheinhessen. Some of the exciting changes that Johannes is bringing these are all the kind of things that we talk about here on the Wine Club as a natural wine club. And you may think, like, of course, like that's the future, that's the direction that you should go, but what's the big deal? But the truth is, they've been making wine certain way, very conventionally, for 130 plus years, and have won multiple awards, have been kind of that benchmark producer for generations, right? But for this young guy, this new generation to come in and completely change out what the family has been doing for the last 130 years, for the last 6 generations, it's a pretty gutsy move. But, he's been doing it, and he's been kicking ass and collecting names. Gunderloch has been winning awards for their wines and being recognized as, again, still one of the best and most reference point producers for the region. So some of those changes that Johannes is bringing to the winery, to the family estate, are less quote-unquote winemaking, overall in favor of hard work in the vineyard. This is the kind of concept we've talked about, which is the best wines are made in the vineyard, not in the cellar, right? So what was once mostly stainless steel tanks in the cellar with a lot of sulfites, and they use pitch yeast, and they use different additives to kind of adjust the wine and things like that. But now he takes a much more traditional, old, hands-off approach. So now you see a lot more barrels. This wine does see a little bit of barrels, all neutral. Longer maturations, a little more skin contact on the wine, which helps with protecting the wine from oxygen, because polyphenolic compounds from phenolics from the skins help. It's an antioxidant, so it helps it with protecting from oxygen. Overall, the house style is changing. In fact, I remember when I first started working with their wines, I support their Gewürztraminer, as well as Riesling, Sonoma. But I really like their wines. They're clean. They're beautiful, well-made wine, but really clean. The kind of classic thing. And at the time at Sonoma, what I was trying to do was kind of showcase textbook wines of the region. So people wanted to, if you got a pour of this wine, they know what Rheinhessen Riesling should taste like. And that was my kind of focus with that program. So this wine really made sense. But over time, the house style has been changing. It's a lot. I mean, I would still call this very, very clean, but it is not squeaky like, lab clean. There's a little more wildness, a little more aliveness here in the wine. And it's cool as somebody who's worked with it for so long that I can kind of see that evolution, kind of see that change at the hands of a different winemaker, different direction that the winery is going. So super cool. Spontaneous fermentation is now the norm. No more pitched yeast. All Gunderloch wines are fermented with native yeast now. He's doing this fucking wacky thing. He's experimenting with the starting fermentation in the vineyard, as opposed to bringing the fruits into the cellar and starting the fermentation in the cellar, where the native yeast concentration is the highest. So vineyard, obviously, that's where all the yeast is most present. So he even has a line of wine called Virgo. I wanted to get my hands on this, but there was none available in DC at the time when I wanted to taste it. But maybe it will come back in. If you do, I'll offer it in a case club. But he has a line called Virgo that is fermented entirely in the vineyard, as opposed to in the cellar, because he just wants all these wild bacteria and yeast to go in there and then do their thing within the vineyard. The whole idea is that he believes that is a truly getting this essence of the vineyard, this idea of terroir, right? But I don't know. I'm afraid that one may be a little fucked, but we'll see. But yeah, I want to taste it. Johannes has started organic certification process in 2020, but they have been farming organic for 5 years now. And this may all sound like no-brainer, like I said, but as a young guy, as a new generation, after 6 generations, 130 plus years, for him to come in and change everything, kind of risk it all, the family estate's reputation and the future revenue, all of that is a pretty gutsy move. So I applaud it. What is this wine? It was really hard to, given that they are rather decent size with, a lot of actual technical abilities and modern advancement technology in the estate. I couldn't find much of the technical information on this, but I do know that this is all 100% organic Riesling. Like I mentioned, they're all from the lower terraces of the Gunderloch's 3 top vineyard, all Grand Cru sites. So we're talking about all Gross Lodge sites. All spontaneous fermentation, started in the stainless steel tank, temperature control, and then it's matured in a 600-liter neutral wooden barrels on fine lees before being bottled and sold. Yeah. that's what we got. Let's taste it. Give me 1 second. I got something stuck in my throat. All right. So, start with the top, clarity. This one is clear. There's nothing unclear about this. In fact, it is quite clear. Pretty translucent, not like star bright, but pretty clear. Sorry. Intensity. There's not a whole lot of intensity here, right? I'll call this probably like pale lemon. Riesling, young Riesling, just doesn't get a whole lot of color. It's a very thin grape variety. Even this color that they're getting, there's a little bit of it's not just lemon, there's like a little bit of like maybe gold fleck, but it's still very pale. That's probably from the extended skin contact they put their Rieslings on. That's the thing that Johannes is bringing into the winery now. But with a lot of modern Rieslings without any skin contact, like a lot of young Rieslings are very, very pale in color. But yeah, I'll call this about pale lemon still. Other observation, just nothing. Pretty clean, bright, no deposits, no flocculation, no pétillance. All right, nose. This wine is clean. This wine sound. This wine smells delicious. Intensity. I don't know, about here. So I'm gonna call them medium plus. Pretty expressive. Medium plus. Aromas of, what do we got? I do get a touch of floral here. Maybe some sort of like honeysuckle, some sort of blossomy, jasmine flower, acacia, I don't know, something along that line. Something like white, nothing like red or blue or purple, just like white flower. I get a touch of that. Not like overly floral, but just touch. Green fruit. Yeah, you can convince me there's maybe a little bit of quince, a little bit of pear, green apple, maybe even like a little yellow apple. But yeah, I get a little bit of like an appley kind of a thing. Citrus fruit, definitely. There's like a ripe lemon peel, lime. But this is also, out of the 3 that we've tasted so far this month, this is the least limey of them all. Lime really comes from the really crystalline, cold weather Riesling. So Mosel clearly has a lot of lime. Rheingau has some lime from last week. But to me, this one is a lot more like Meyer lemon than it is lime. But yeah. Stone fruit? Yeah, maybe like a little peach, little white peach, little like donut peach or something. Yeah. No tropical fruit, no red fruit, no black fruit. Nature of the fruit, super fresh, super ripe. Nothing unripe here. Really ripe, really fresh. Everything's good. Herbaceous? No, I don't get much herbaceous here. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me there's a little bit of green, maybe a little bit of passion fruit, that tropical thing, but not a whole lot. No, I'm not even gonna call it that, because especially having tasted the first week, the Matern and Schmidt, that had that green character, and that's what I liked about it, that savory kind of contrast to the really intense ripe fruit. But compared to that, like this is not even close to that, so I'm not even gonna call it this green. Yeah, just nothing unripe, really ripe, really fresh, all that. No spice, and that there's a little bit of like a flinty, just like a, not over the top, but there's some flinty kind of like rocks that has been like crushed kind of a thing here. Yeah. Secondary, nothing here, no yeast, no MLF, no oak, no tertiary, obviously. It's a pretty young wine. And then palate. Oh my god, that's just delicious. It's so good. This wine is definitely off dry. You can tell there's some sugar on this thing, right? Off dry, I can tell. I want to say, to me, like this comes off sugar wise about the same as last week, but I'm gonna tell you guys the truth. So last week Rheingold, because the acid was so ripping that even though it was like 33 grams per liter, we called it off dry, right? This on the lab is about 22, so it's like 10 grams less. But perception wise, it just comes off as just about that sweet because the acid profile, and we talked about that, right? Like acid profile Rheinhessen is just a little bit rounder, it's not as sharp. And because of that, even though sugar is lower, perception wise, it comes off just as kind of a sweet. I know this pisses off everybody with this whole not exact sweetness level on the grid, but we're talking about perception here, and it's definitely off dry. And I'm letting you know that there's about 22 grams of residual sugar on this one. Acidity. Ooh, still Riesling, still pulling. I'm still gonna call this high. Again, not as aggressive as the acid that was last week, but definitely quite a bit of acid. It's definitely pulling. I feel it. Alcohol? I don't know, probably like 9-10%, somewhere around the 10.5. So yeah, still low. Body. Medium minus. Yeah, I'll call this about 1%. No mousse. Flavor intensity, medium plus. High end of medium, low end of medium plus, but I think I'm gonna go with the medium plus. Not shy. All the things again. The honeysuckle, the blossom, all of that kind of touch of florality, but really what I get is just kind of like a green fruit. The yellow apple is an interesting one for me. The fact that, you know, we haven't called yellow apple in either of the wines in the last 2 weeks, but to me there's a distinctive kind of like yellowish apple rather than green apple on this thing. So yeah, pear, yellow apple, quince maybe, that lime and lemon, the citrus, the zest, less limey, more lemony, maybe touch of peach, fresh, ripe, just ever so subtle kind of like a mineral kind of a thing in the running background. This is not a super minerally kind of rocky kind of a thing, but I definitely get something like that slaty, kind of flinty kind of a thing. Yep. Yeah, to me, like that sugar, I know a lot of people talk about like, oh my God, I don't like sweet wine. That sugar is not even for the flavor. That sugar is there just to balance out that acid. Like without that, this wine would be so acidic. With it, if this was fermented bone dry, this would be so acidic. But just having that just touch of sugar in there just rounds it out and balance it out. And yeah, it just doesn't even drink all that sweet, honestly. It's delicious. Yeah, no secondary, no tertiary, just kind of all primary fresh wine. Finish. It's about medium. What's it? Oh, no, still going. Yeah, it's like somewhere between medium plus. I'll be generous and call it medium plus, but I think it'd be totally fine with the medium. I just caught the florality. I think this is the most floral one out of all the three that we've tasted this month. That just touch of that like jasmine acacia kind of a thing just kind of catches me even at the end, even in the finish. So it's really nice. It's really pretty. Yeah, maybe I'll call it medium. I'm going to change my call on the finish. I'm going to call it medium. All right, conclusions. Quality level. This one is balanced. There's nothing sticking out. Sure, acid is super high, but again, that sugar is there. Just kind of wrap it all around. Really nice. But talking about that acid, like, remember how acidic the first, particularly last week, but the first week and the last week were? Just the feel of the acid is very different here. To me, that Matern and Schmidt, the acid was just much sharper. It's more jagged if you think about the shape of the acid. Here, there's quite a bit of acid here. I called it high, but still the feel of it, the shape of it is just a little bit blunted. It's not as sharp. But yeah, so you may argue that it's too high, but I don't think so. That sugar really balances it out nicely. Concentration, we call it medium plus on the nose, medium plus on the palate. Complexity, we have flower, we have some green fruit, citrus fruit, some minerality, right? No secondary, no tertiary, call that around medium, you know. It's hitting all the notes of what Riesling should be, right? Just really pretty kind of floral thing going on as well. And then finally, finish, we called it medium, right? So we got medium plus, medium, medium. So we are landing just above good towards very good, but I'm gonna call this good wine. Potential for aging, I think there's quite a bit here actually, because the acid is so ripping here, right? And then there's a good concentration. We got medium plus in the nose, and then medium plus on the palate. So decent, good amount of concentration. These are not like, you know, one of those wines that are gonna meant to be aged forever, but I say knowing how well Riesling ages, knowing how much acid there is on this thing, which is going to protect the wine, which is going to give that backbone, I said this can probably go easily 5 to 8, honestly 8 to 10 possibly, but I would say 5 to 8 is probably a good bet. So I would say buy some wine, buy a few bottles, drink it now. I think it's drinking beautifully right now. In fact, I'm about to have some dinner with this thing. I made some actually Schweinhocks. Schweinhocks, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's the pork shank, the roasted pork shank, German pork shank. I made some German potato salad, German roasted pork shank, with some green bean salad. It's gonna be good. I'm gonna drink this with that, so I'll report back. If it's very good, I'll show the recipe. But I'm pretty sure it'd be very good. But what was I talking about? Fuck. Oh yeah, the aging. So I think it's drinking beautifully right now. All the freshness is really delicious. All the acid, everything is delicious. But as this ages, some of that petrol character may come out. Some of the minerality may pop out. Some of the fruit may change. Some of the honey note may pop out here. So all of that may give it a little more complexity. But honestly, this is their kind of entry level blended right across their vineyards variety. So as an entry level Riesling, it's not meant to be aged for all that long. So even though I think it can age 5 to 8 years, honestly, drink it now, enjoy it all the way through the next 5, 8 years. But yeah, it's just meant to be enjoyed really youthful and young. Having said that, I realized I have not gone over the label. I wanted to go over this label because it's just a bit. This is the first VDP wine. It's a little bit different. So before we get to the pricing, I just wanted to go over that. So Jean-Baptiste on the front, if you read it, Jean-Baptiste is the name of the winery. I've been trying to figure out why this is called Jean-Baptiste. It apparently has something to do with Karl Gunderloch, the founder. Maybe his nickname was Jean-Baptiste, or I don't know. But I could not find why this one is called Jean-Baptiste. I even asked the importer. They don't know. So here we are. 2022 Gunderloch Jean-Baptiste Riesling Kabinett. Kabinett, this word tells you this is a pretty cat's vine, which is the ripeness level, right? And then as you go on the side, as you turn counterclockwise, you see here on the side of it, it says VDP Gutswein. So I'm also going to be sending the German wine classification wheel that we've been looking at. So within VDP, the very first base level is Gutswein, which is kind of like their commune level wine. Like if you were to look at Burgundy, it would be like Maconnais, Chalonnais, Côte de Nuit, Côte de Beaune, right? Like it's not going all the way down to the actual village or commune, but it's just like the region, like grouping of all the different villages that are in there. So Gutswein is what this is. So this is a village level wine because they're blending grapes from 3 of their different vineyard sites that are in different villages and different sites. So it makes sense why this is called Gutswein. And then if you look in the back, here's a word that sometimes catches people. On the top left, it says Gunderloch. Gunderloch. I'm pretty sure my pronunciation is all fucked. But that means estate bottle. That means they grew the grapes and then they farmed it themselves and then they vinified it. It's kind of like, exactly what I said. Estate bottle. Sometimes you'll see it in other bottles. But then it's a Familie Hasselbach D55299. That's like a registration number with a VDP. Neckelheim on Rhine. So Neckelheim is where they are. 2022 Riesling Kabinett. Feinherb. There you go. You see that word. This will be on the classification sheet that I send you. But Feinherb is the same thing as Halbtrecken, which means half dry. So every time you see that word Feinherb, it lets you know that this has some sugar on it. If this wine, even if it says Kabinett in the front, if it had this said Kabinett Trucken instead of Kabinett Feinherb or Kabinett Halbtrecken, that means this was fermented out dry at a Kabinett ripeness level. So this whole Kabinett, Spellese, Auslese, all these things doesn't necessarily mean that the wine is sweet. It just tells you the sugar level, the white ripeness level of the grapes when they were picked. Whether that gets fermented out fully dry or that gets fermented with some sugar left, it depends on the winemaker. In this case, they decided to leave some sugar on there. That's why they wrote Feinherb on there. What else can I tell you? It says right there, Predikatwein just underneath that, which tells you this is belongs to that Predikatwein classification system by the ripeness. Rheinhessen, this is where it comes from. The APNR number on the bottom, just underneath the 10.5 over there, there's a bunch of series numbers. A lot of German wines that are classified with the VDP or even QBA, the Qualitätswein system, and Predikatwein system will have these numbers. These are basically issued by the German government. There's all series of different things, like the first three numbers mean the region where it comes from, next two means within a smaller village, next two means like what batch, like there's all these different things going there. But just know that anytime you see this kind of AP number, almost any German wine that has a Predikatwein or QBA VDP wines will have this AP number written on there. And then there's an importer, Bowler. But yeah, just to helping you read German wine labels, because German wine labels are tricky and confusing. But anyways, that's it. But also, oh yeah, price. Guess how much this wine is on the retail shelf? Guess how much you'd be happy paying for it? Considering what we've discussed last 2 weeks, how much they were. And also remember, this is Gunderloch, OG producer. They've been there for forever. Rheinhessen, which is a little less desired region of German Riesling production, but OG producer, award-winning producer, but it's the entry-level wine. I don't know. Take a guess. How much would you think this is compared to others? By the way, they make wines. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Just guess how much it was. And this wine on the retail shelf would be $21, which I think is unbelievable for what this wine is, what you're drinking. The fact that this is just over $20 is unbelievable value. Our first week, the Mature and Schmied was $33.75. The Mosel Riesling, right? It's from Mosel. And then Rheingau was $24 last week, which is also an unbelievable value. This entry level, I mean, to me, this is like the perfect entry level wine for not only Rheinhessen, but just German Riesling. It's $21. It's ageable. It's drinking beautifully now. Made by an incredible producer. VDP wine. Yeah, the fact that this is 21, I think is pound for pound, dollar for dollar. I think this is way up there. I don't know any other German Riesling that can. Many German Riesling that can beat that in terms of dollar to quality ratio. Yeah. Anyways, that's it. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Shoot me an email, text me. Don't text me. I'll be an idiot. But shoot me an email. Can't guarantee I'll also get back to you right away. But I'll try my best to check my email somewhat regularly. Cool. Well, toodles. I'll talk to you guys later.